Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, Gary here for Bizarre Brain Comics. This is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk about the creators, the characters, and break down the stories and the art. This time, I'm going to talk about a character that goes way back into the Golden Age. In one form or another. I'm going to talk about Hawkman. And this issue is from 1987. That's issue number 10. Hawkman from DC Comics. Let us consult the big book of knowledge to see what it has to say about Hawkman. This is Hawkman number 10 from 1987. And this is written by Barbara Randall and Dan Mishkin, and it's drawn by Richard Howell. Inked by Carlos Garzon. And I know nothing about them, but I'm wanting to talk about Hawkman himself. Okay, several DC Universe heroes have borne that name of Hawkman. He was created by writer Gardner Fox. Yeah, we talked about him before. He's probably best known as one of the creators of the Justice League of America. And he wrote a whole bunch of fantasy novels in the 60s and early 70s. Sword and sorcery type. And by writer Gardner Fox and artist Dennis Neville. And he made his first appearance in Flash Comics #1 in 1940. So he goes back quite a ways. And several incarnations of Hawkman have appeared in DC Comics. And he was one of the characters from the Justice Society of America. He is rendered as a man using a set of artificial wings attached to a harness composed of the anti-gravity nth metal, which allows him to fly. And he also wears a hawk-like helmet and uses archaic weapons, and is usually accompanied by a female version known as either Hawk Girl or Hawk Woman. And originally, he was archaeologist Carter Hall, who was the reincarnation of an Egyptian prince, and possessing the wings and helmet bequeathed to him, allowing him to be a superhero. In the 1960s, he was rebooted as an alien policeman from Thanagar named Kator Hall. And he was accompanied by his wife and fellow wingman, Shiara. A couple of different spellings of Shiara. And they have secret identities as curators of a museum, which is where they get their archaic weapons that they would use against various criminals. After the DC Universe reboot of Crisis on Infinite Earths, Many writers have worked to integrate the two versions into one character, and having the alien Thanagarians associated with the ancient Egyptian curse that caused his and Shara's uh, many reincarnations, and is also the source of the origin of the nth metal flying harnesses they use. So, and that is to say, they make that the flying harness that the original Hawkman acquired was originally of Thanagarian origin. So, let us take to the skies with Hawkman and Hawkgirl. And here we have Hawkman number 10. You can see the full cover. And this is a cover that was drawn by John Byrne, who was responsible for the Superman reboot in the mid-'80s. And he makes an appearance here. Hence the shadowy figure right there. And this ties over into a story appearing in, I think it's going to be in an Action Comics, and the cover of that one, that issue reflects this cover as well, except I think it's Superman in the forefront with Hawkman in silhouette behind. But this is a continuing story. I want to show you this a little bit here, and actually go back to here. This is just from the year before, Hawkman Special number 1. Now, just shortly before this, they'd had a 4-issue mini-series, which started a storyline which revolved around what they called the Shadow War, and that wasn't completely resolved. And that Shadow War was involving a secret Thanagarian invasion of Earth. And then shortly after this issue is when they started this series, starting with number 1, and it has been a continuing storyline involving the Shadow War. This issue here, number 9, and of course it leads right into this one of number 10. The events right afterwards. They had a base where the Thanagarians were working out of and conducting their so-called Shadow War. And, well, it looks like Superman is here too. No, not really. It turns out that this was a villain of Hawkman, one of his from his rogues gallery, and he's an alien known as Bythe, and he is a shapeshifter, but he is able to take on the powers of the beings that he it takes on the powers of the beings that he imitates. So here they are basically up against Superman, except fortunately for them, he is unfamiliar with Superman's powers and doesn't have complete control of them. And they also have an unlikely ally in this storyline in the form of this Hawkman villain here. If you can see him here, that is known as the Gentleman Ghost. He's just a suit of clothes, a top hat, with a monocle, and he has no body. He's a ghost. He is literally a ghost. And he has been a Hawkman villain for decades. But here, unfortunately, I don't know why they have teamed up together, and they're working together. Now, before we get into this, I wanted to show you this. I really would rather have done one of these older ones, but right now this is the only one that I've got handy. This is Hawkman from number 3 from 1964. You can see it's without cover, and a few pages are missing, which is why I'm not covering that. But I wanted to show you this the beautiful artwork of Murphy Anderson, who was the artist on this penciler on this particular run, penciler and inker on this particular run. It does have a short backup story, but he is this, and I'll cover Murphy Anderson more at a later time. But it's Hawkman. Even this splash page would be an admirable cover illustration. And okay, this issue of Hawkman picks up right where the other one left off. People have he's knocked out the Thanagarians, most of the villain, the goons. There's just common soldiers, and this hidden headquarters, and they've got to stop the real villain. Who, okay, his henchman was Blythe, and I've forgotten this guy's name. Idiot. Yeah. I can't remember his name. I'll come across it. So all wars must end. Nicely drawn. Very, very nice splash page. There's good command of the figure. I like the spread wings like that. And he takes off because he's following this head honcho that he was getting away. Meanwhile, he has to take out. Notice he's using a big old mace. Said archaic weapons, and just cleans their clocks. And then we have a brief recap here. And the building that they are in is on fire, and Hawk Girl, Shayara Hall, his wife, has helped in the escape of his commissioner. I've forgotten his name. I don't see it here handy. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It helped him get away while Hawkman was still fighting the other guys. Now someone's trying to take pot shots, and we don't know why. He's just a goon. And then because he's someone after the commissioner. The human henchmen, Earth henchmen as well. And there is the gentleman ghost helping them out, Shara. And so she leaves the commissioner in his capable ghostly hands, while she has to go back and help Hawkman. But the ghost ensures that she's armed, gives her that gun, and then they go. And you can see the visual storytelling, panel-to-panel storytelling, is done quite well. It's easy to follow, even without reading. And here Hawkman has tracked the main villain. Come on, give me the guy's name. Ved, that's his name. Yeah, no sign of Ved. There's a spaceship in a hangar. And I thought he would find him there, but he's not. And when he's in there, there's radio communications on the ship, and he finds out that because it's picking up transmissions from Ved to an invasion fleet in space, and said, "This is all falling apart, so can proceed with contingency plan." Said, which is all-out thermonuclear attack to commence in 1 Earth day. So, oh my gosh! So they've got. There's Hawk Girl. She's coming to the rescue and finds him at the spaceship, and he informs her. And they said, "Oh, they're going to need help for this, but who can we get?" And so she phases diddles something with the communication system, and it sends out a frequency, and so that's going to get us some help. And while they're still knocking out some of the goons there. And then they go, the Absorbicon, it's some crazy Thanagarian machine, mindy machine, trying to find Ved. So she puts the thing on her head, and they're in communication with with each other, and he takes off looking for Ved, and with that gizmo, she can get little glimpses inside the minds of all the people in there, so she can get an idea of where the path that Ved has taken. And that's why you get this unusual ghostly image here, seeing where Ved is gone, and he's just following the track, right, and she's directing him to it until the machine burns out. Well, that's it. That blows up. She saves the guard there that's unconscious, and then she takes off. Heads out, and here we see, now we come to a confrontation between Hawkman and Ved. And you can see here, she can see it through the skylight while they're duking it out. You know, so he's got the hawk wings on his helmet because he is a Thanagarian warrior, and he's got these blasters on his wrists. But he outmaneuvers him, and then Hawkgirl swoops in and zaps him with the ray gun, but it doesn't seem to have any effect. Oh, mercy bullets, that's why. And he considers that mercy is weakness. He zaps the gun, so it's a good page layout here. You can see that whole thing. A good page layout there, so because you see him spinning around, zapping the gun. You can see her reaction, and the flow of her wings takes the eye right down, as well as her foot, breaking the border of the panel right down into the next panel. And then you see Hawkman swooping down, and you can see that here. This is some great panel layout, and his gestures lead your eye right into the next panel where he's getting clunked on the head with that mace, and the flow of the mace takes you right into the swooping of the Hawkgirl figure. It's a really nice layout, good flow, good way to make the eye flow through the book, through the story. Now they're still grappling. That knocked his helmet off. That's what protected him. And now they're wrestling, scrambling around on the ground. So she takes off one of the metal wings from his helmet and threatens him with it, because that would kill him. They capture him with subdue him by using the blasters on his glove. He'd have to fire. He'd have to shoot himself. But he surges and knocks her off and takes off. So they're after him, and now he's holding a cop hostage. Holding this cop hostage. So they forcing them to remove their helmets and wings. He dons Hawkman's helmet and wings, and he takes off while he tries to burn the Hawkgirl's wings, that they're still there, still functional. She gets him back on. Meanwhile, but he had a remote control gizmo causing the wings to go haywire. They borrow the policeman's car, go right there to this other location, and they work together because he can't really fly with that. And using a fire hose, they wrap him up. They wrap him up like a Christmas turkey, man. Now he's captured. So now what do we do about stopping this attack? Then Superman appears. Superman said, "You called me here, didn't you? So why don't you start by telling me what this is all about?" This time, but this is similar to the other issue. They had the fake Superman, but this one's the real Superman. And then this is continued into Action Comics 588, which is to be the actual conclusion to the Shadow War, and then the next issue of Hawkman is Return to Thanagar. Okay, yeah, and of course this was now this caused some problems in their continuity, because after DC's Crisis on Infinite Earths, right after that, they rebooted Superman, but not the other characters. Shortly after that, they rebooted Wonder Woman, and then a few years after that, they rebooted Hawkman. So, which caused a whole bunch of new continuity problems. In fact, they even addressed it in a later issue of, I think it was Action Comics, that used the Superman version of this this cover, but the Hawkman silhouette was left white because this is when they had the Hawk World series going on, which reintroduced Hawkman, which means everything with Hawkman, this Thanagarian version of Hawkman that carried on before, never happened, not in that continuity. And so it caused them some problems. Which undoubtedly, but at that time they still had a Hawkman who was part of the older Justice Society of America. I don't remember how they dealt with it in that one issue of the story, but I think they retconned it to being the original Earth 2 Hawkman. Because in Crisis of Infinite Earths, Earth 1 and Earth 2 were merged into one Earth. So the Justice Society and the Justice League coexisted on one Earth instead of on two Earths. And that's about it. It had, like I said, it had some nice. I really like this wrestling scene. Some really good anatomy, and it's nice and dynamic. And I talked about the flow on that page. It's a really nice page layout. I like that a lot. This in here is pretty good too. And I like the ghost image that they used here. That came out real nice too. All in all, it's good, but I really like the John Byrne cover. So that's all I've got for you. I liked the art. I liked the writing of it. One thing not thrilled with issue after issue after issue of one storyline continuing, especially since in this it carried on with different creative teams. So I'm sure parts of it changed over time. Because, like I said, covered these 10 issues, the special, and the 4-issue miniseries before that. So, anyway, that's all I've got. I hope you like Hawkman. Didn't have a whole lot with Hawk Girl. Later, when they rebooted it with Hawk World, she was Hawk Woman. And that suits her better because she's, an adult. If she'd been just a teen or something, I can see Hawk Girl. But okay, that's enough. Thank you for joining me. Please like, share, subscribe, leave comments, all the YouTube stuff. And remember, comics are art.